Cognitive bias is the term coined by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky in the early 70s, and since then, psychologists have identified more than 100 different biases. But what makes cognitive biases so important that we believe everyone should be aware of them? Let's find out. What is cognitive bias? Cognitive bias stands for an error in thinking that occurs when people receive, process, and interpret information around them that influences the decisions and judgments they make. Although it might seem that we are perceiving reality perfectly objectively, more often than not, we actually don't. Because, the reality is a tricky thing that is shaped by each person's background and previous experiences, sociocultural factors, belief system, mental state, and many other things that are different for everyone. To put it simply, the reality is a state of things as they actually are, something absolute and self-explanatory, fully objective. On the other hand, our perception is merely our view of reality. Putting it short, perception does not equal reality. Why we have cognitive bias? The human brain is wonderful, but it has its limitations. As we are subject to a massive amount of information every day, the brain has to find a way to process them somehow. As a result, it attempts to simplify the processing of this information and speed up the decision-making process. Basically, cognitive bias works as some sort of rule that our brain has created to keep up with endless information. Unluckily, we do not have unlimited attention. Some other common causes are 1. Heuristics, a technique or approach towards problem-solving based on our previous experience about similar situations and/or our preconceptions. It is impossible to find that perfect, optimal solution for every problem, and frankly, it's not even practical. So, heuristic methods are mental shortcuts that we apply to speed up the process. 2. Social pressure, a direct influence by our peers and surroundings often shape our decision and make us question our own attitudes, beliefs or certain behaviors. It may seem that it happens to most children and young adults, but you'd be surprised how many established adults are influenced by social pressure. Keep in mind, social pressure doesn't always have negative effects. 3. Emotional state is a heavy decision influencer. Look back on your past week and try to remember a situation when you felt a certain way and were faced with any kind of decision that you had to think about. It doesn't have to be a huge one. What are the chances you'd behave differently if you were in a different mood? Conclusion: it's important to be aware of biases and how they can influence our thinking. Awareness is the first step towards eliminating clouded judgment and making bad choices based on little information. Next time you're faced with an important decision, try to consider all the possible outcomes and variations. And more importantly, ask yourself whether you're objective. Additionally, cognitive biases are not always a bad thing and actually work in our favor when we need to make some fast decisions that don't require 100% accuracy. Imagine spotting a lion on the street. Would it be wise to stop, think about whether you should run? Maybe feeding him that burger would make him your friend? I wouldn't gamble on it. Hello instant decision-making, I'll run faster than a motorbike, as far as I can. Yours truly, Business Brownie.